Hello. Sorry it's been a while. I've been moving into my new house. So, well, not my new house, my mother's. So I've been like a little busy. So I'm sorry about that. Today we're going to be talking about something very important to me, and that would be homelessness here in the States. I find that to be a very prominent issue that most people don't like. They notice obviously because a lot of people are around it every day, but a lot of times we don't really take it as seriously as it should be taken. And as a future AmeriCorps volunteer, I'm very excited to really get involved in our country and, see what giving my time can do to help others. So I'm very excited about this topic because I feel like we haven't touched that much on America. So without further ado, P.S. I feel like I'm going to have to mention something about like Justin Bieber or like Lady Gaga to ever like get a view. Maybe I need to make a video about them so then people are excited about volunteering and helping others. We'll think about it. I'll be back on that. So anyway, moving right along, there are actually going to be 700,000 homeless people in America, and these are homeless people that can be considered homeless for a long period of time, a month plus. If you're not considering that, there are 2.3 to 3.5 million people who are just, kind of maybe in the predicament that they're bouncing around from friend's house to friend's house. Maybe they're living with a parent, but they are living with them because of economic difficulties and things like that. But the 700,000, that's a pure statistic of people living on the streets that have been living on the streets for, an elongated period of time. It's also interesting that as the years progress here in America, our homeless rates are actually increasing instead of decreasing. That's very interesting because we're becoming more civilized. We have more advances in almost every area, and to see that our people are becoming, more and more kind of suppressed and falling into a deeper rut is kind of interesting when there's so many more opportunities coming about and so much more that people can give to help others. So I find that very interesting. I mean, just what happens in the homeless population is just crazy. They don't have much. They don't have, clothing. They have maybe 1 to 2 pairs if they're lucky, and those are going to be worn over and over again. They're not going to have facilities to use, and they're not going to have food to eat. You'll see a lot of them obviously going through dumpsters and things like that. And to imagine having to pick through a dumpster, maybe eat something that's half eaten or something that's very old, so it's been thrown away, is almost unfathomable. Because to think that you wouldn't even have $1 or $2 to go out and buy something is just crazy. 30 to 40% have, reported that they have gone part of a month without eating. And that's 2 weeks. And, a lot of us say, I wish I could go 2 weeks without eating. I know this body could use it. Don't do it. It's not safe though. But, these people aren't doing it out of choice and they are hungry. And before they go without food, they're probably not getting the proper nutrients. So, they're going to be even more hungry because of that. So imagining not having food because it's not even an option it's ridiculous to even think about. You also have to remember that in the homeless population, the people are going to spend more time in jail and in the hospital than in any other population. And they're going to jail not because they're bad people. It's not for things like, normally it's not for things like rape and murder. It's more for things like, theft, public indecency, getting into altercations. And those kind of things can kind of be seen as things that are almost, going to happen because of where they're living. And I don't want that to make it seem like it's okay. Those things aren't okay. But when you have nothing and there's no opportunity to get things, sometimes it's in their mind, stealing is the only option. When people are taunting them, when people are looking at them like they're nothing, sometimes, something snaps within them, just like it snaps within ourselves because, we're viewed as less than a person or less than beautiful. And it's not fair because every human, no matter where they are in their life, no matter what they look like, no matter the predicament they're in, no matter the money they have, they're still a person and they still hold beauty and wisdom and knowledge, and it's different than anybody else's beauty and wisdom and knowledge. And that's why we each can be looked at as a being of pure beauty and even people that are living on the streets. And when they're looked at as nothing, I couldn't imagine being looked at as nothing every day. It would probably make me, hard to the world and angry as well. So, they're going to jail because of those kind of things mostly. And they're in the hospital because obviously they're living in unsanitary conditions from the feces that are being, laid out on the streets to, the sleeping arrangements very close to other people to, just eating less than quality food because they don't have the money to obviously buy it. So all of that's going to, in turn make them very ill. And then, they're not going to be able to seek medical attention because of, the money and health insurance issues. So they're going to go sick for long periods of time until it's almost, at an unmanageable point. Especially with stomach issues and things like that. You also have to think about children growing up in homeless situations. And there are a lot of children that are growing up in those kind of situations, and they're going to have long-term absences. Most are not going to graduate, and that's very sad. They're moving place to place at night. So, obviously waking up after sleeping on, a small cot maybe, or the street or pavement, you're not going to want to wake up and get to school. And, they're not going to have the means for transportation to get there. Maybe they're being made fun of by other children at school. Kids are mean nowadays. They were probably always mean, but not all of them, obviously. And it's not that they're trying to be, but, they don't understand. And in turn, that turns into kind of cruelty. My mom was very strict about it, though. If I ever got caught saying anything about anybody else, or, I had a friend over that said anything about anyone else, God forbid, she would kill you. I don't think I've ever been in trouble except if it was about making fun of another person, and I thank her for that every day. Also, I just want to kind of break down the homeless population because a lot of people, look at them and think, oh, these people are nothings. They could go out, have a job. They're just on the streets because they're, lazy. And that's not the case. 22% of the women on the streets are going to be battered women. And that's very sad because these women are coming from the predicament where they have to decide, do I stay in this abusive relationship because it's financially stable, or do I go out, find fulfillment within myself, but maybe not have the finances to support myself. 40% of the males on the street are going to be, veterans. And that's very sad because, maybe, something happened with their pension or things like that. They weren't able to, receive it. They had trouble getting it, and that in turn ended them homeless. And that's very sad because they were so ready and willing to serve our country, give our country safety, give our country, prosperity, but then our country is not willing to serve them back, and that's very sad to me. You then have to remember that 26% are going to enter in the homeless state due to mental illness, and I definitely think that's because as a country we don't have government funding for mental institutions. I definitely think that's something that needs to change, and I know people don't like higher taxes, and I understand that, but government funding for mental institutions is something I strongly feel needs to be implemented. Mental illness is not something that should be taken lightly, and I also think the problem is we have a lot of great programs that give money to, sorry, that said oddly, money to people with mental illnesses, but a lot of times it's just giving money to the people in middle class that have mental illnesses, and that's because, the middle class knows how to file the paperwork and go about getting the money, because it's very difficult to, obtain and get and be part of those government funded programs. So, people with very small mental illnesses may be getting rash funding from the government because they knew how to file paperwork, but people in lower income with extreme mental illnesses may not be receiving any money at all because, they weren't exactly sure how to file or didn't have the resources to file. And so in turn, they end up in the streets and then obviously don't have any resources coming to them to be able to file that. It's just very sad, to think that these people are shunned everywhere they go, and people say, why can't they go out and get a job? Why can't they do this? But, if you walk into any place and clothes that are going to smell of piss and dirt and they look tattered, people are going to judge right on appearance. And I'm no different, and I have even been molded by society. And I sit here and I've been preaching to people about acceptance and helping others and things like that, but in my own life I didn't implement it. I worked at Pizza Hut a while ago, and I remember there was a man who walked in and he asked for an application. And I thought in my head, I thought this exact thought. I said, we'd never hire him. And that was because, he smelled, and I could tell he was homeless. And I was just like, I was judging him because he had walked in here. Like, who did he think he was? Obviously, he could never work here. Not that Pizza Hut is that high class, but that's what I thought. And I just told him, oh, we have online applications. And right as he walked away, I looked within myself and I said, I preach every day to act locally and in your community, yet I just let somebody walk away that had needs that I could have helped because I judged them and I fell into the way society looks at these people. And immediately I was sickened. I could have, taken him and introduced him and, helped him get that job and been something to someone, something more than just another person who turned them away. But I didn't do that, and I regret that, and I feel bad about it. And it's something that we need to do. Once again, I say, act globally, whatever. Think locally, though. There's situations in life every day where we can help people and we pass them by, and it's very, very sad. I've done it myself. And it's not easy for them to get a job. And it's not only because of their appearance, but it's because they don't have a permanent residency. It's because they don't have an identification card and things like that. It's very, very sad. And they're not welcome into public places. They can't go into, a fast food place. They can't go into a library because, I've even seen it when I was in Los Angeles. I was meeting a friend at Burger King, and there was a man who walked in, and very, very bad stench, but he carried just a bag and a 12-pack of Diet Mountain Dew, and he sat down, and they came up and they said, you need to leave. And because people were complaining, and I said, don't people have any compassion? And don't people have any heart to see that he needs somewhere to be just for a few minutes? And it even can translate into things like hospitals. Hospitals have been known to, ERs have been known to treat sick individuals and put them out on the streets when they find out they don't have insurance. There's many stories like that. And I know there's a place, and I know in our society it's money before everything else and business before everything else. But there has to be this medium where heart meets business and heart meets money. And I think that people need to do their job. I think that you should do what you love. And if you do what you love, it shouldn't be about always making money. And yes, money is important and needed, but there needs to be heart in what you're doing. And if there's heart in what you're doing, you would see that helping these people is really what needs to happen. And it's sad, and I'm not saying that we can clean up totally the streets. That would be very difficult. But I think where we need to start as a country is empowering the youth and showing youth in, Section 8 housing districts, lower income families, poverty line areas, homeless children, and all that, education is the way to find themselves in life. Education is almost everything in life. Education and love, and loving them while teaching them is going to make all the difference. And not only that, but having foundations that are going to allow these children to do sports and activities and clubs, and showing them that through getting involved, you can make something of yourself. So I think empowering the youth is where cleaning up the streets is really going to, happen. So I think that's definitely what we need to start doing as a country, and start opening up our hearts and our minds to these people instead of just judging them. There's a much more need for love and appreciation and just attention than there is for a piece of bread. So that's definitely how I feel about that. To learn more, or if you want to learn more or donate to the cause, you can go to homelessfamiliesfoundation.org. Once again, that's homelessfamiliesfoundation.org. Or you can visit foundationhomeless.org. Once again, that's foundationhomeless.org to learn more and donate. I'll have those in the bottom box. I'll be back next week. Hopefully, I will be on target. I'm moving out to California in just a few weeks here to serve with CalServes AmeriCorps. I'm very excited about that. So if I'm a little late on it, my apologies. And I hope you all have a wonderful week and go in peace. All right.